Welcome. Today I wanted to talk about the most common questions and challenges that are propelling people to sign up for my email list or come to a group or get a single session consult. And there are five top ones. And the first is that they're afraid they're going crazy, that they're not doing this right. And certainly early grief, first few months, are characterized by feeling lost, disoriented, hopeless, and experiencing extreme yearning for the person who's died and the life you had with them. Even though it is most acute in the first few months, the question is is there throughout in many ways, because it may morph from I am I going crazy to why am I not better yet? Shouldn't I be better? And that's certainly a common question that comes up around a year. And there's nothing magical about a year, by the way. But people think they should be doing a whole lot better than they often are. And another thing that happens, it's certainly related, is when people are ready to begin building a new life, all of those feelings of being lost and disoriented and hopeless kind of come up again. And along with anxiety about needing to step out into the world as a single person. And that is quite anxiety provoking. So that's number one. Am I doing it right? Am I going crazy? Those and related questions. The second one that's also quite common is I don't feel like myself anymore. I don't know who I am. And this one makes lots of sense, and it's also one that tends to follow people throughout certainly the first year and into the second, because our identity, our sense of self, is so tied up with the people we're in relationship with. And those relationships define us in many ways, and we count on them to provide a sense of self, a sense of purpose, a sense of self-worth. All of those things are tied up in our relationships. And when somebody dies, we lose some of that. Sometimes it feels like we've lost all of that. So that's a common challenge. And it is something that keeps popping up throughout the process. And it's an understandable question because your identity has taken a huge hit. But the flip side of that is an invitation for a deeper exploration of who you are. And I know it doesn't feel like an opportunity. I got that. I got that. But it is. It's an opportunity to discover or rediscover that core part of yourself, that part that like we hide away. It's like a treasure. This core self of ours that we often don't pay a lot of attention to, but it's there. And this becomes an opportunity to kind of take a look, see what's there, see if you can manifest more of that in your life. But it's not generally how we identify ourselves in daily life. We're thinking about work, we're thinking about our relationships, husbands, wives, kids, friends, that sort of thing, siblings, parents, all of that. We think about our hobbies, our work, our emotions. All of those things, our history, are all part of how we see ourselves, and we often don't get down to that deep soul level that is in many ways driving the whole show. So it's an opportunity to look at that, and it's a worthwhile journey. The third thing that people really arrive with is they are in immense struggle. They are struggling with their grief. They're really fighting the grief. They don't want to feel it. They don't want to experience it. And as understandable as that is, and it is understandable, it's totally understandable, doing that kind of battle with it really gets in the way. And you feel so challenged by grief, and all you want is to go back to your old life and feel comforted by that familiarity and that person who you turn to when things got hard, and that person isn't there. So that's a huge, huge challenge. And often when that person isn't there, there's some anger about that too. That can certainly come up. The struggle, resistance, fear, all of those things are very much a part of why people reach out for help. So the challenge here is to embrace new versions of comfort and new ways of finding comfort. And often that's discovering within yourself, as well as in the outer environment and outer relationships, finding a well of comfort within yourself. And once you've really, really discovered that, you're not going to lose it. That's with you. So, again, there is an opportunity here. When it's not welcome, I get that. I do get that. That doesn't mean we have to throw away the gifts. And the fourth really common issue is people arrive desperately wanting some certainty amid their grief. And grief is inherently an uncertain process. So the challenge is to learn and accept that rather than trying to find something you can nail down as absolutely being true. You want certainty. And right now, nothing that you used to be able to count on for certainty is available. Even the relationships with friends and family often don't provide the kind of support and certainty that we would like. So everything feels fluid. It feels like we're walking through quicksand or in the middle of an earthquake or something. It feels really unstable, and that's a very uncomfortable feeling. So the biggest uncertainties really for people are, who am I now? What is my life going to look like going forward? And where do I go from here? And what do I need to do to get there? Those are all really valid questions. They take time to answer. And that's the real key, that to get comfortable with the questions and sit with the questions and allow the answers to reveal themselves. Because what happens when you stop trying to figure things out and with that desperation to try to figure things out, generally the answers emerge. You're in the shower, you wake up in the middle of the night, you're driving, something all of a sudden it pops in, there it is. And so it's really important to get comfortable with the questions. And the last thing that people often arrive with, and this is very specific to people who are 3 to 6 months past the death. And I'm bringing it up largely because there's a 3-to-1 ratio of people showing up in my orbit with people at this particular place, as opposed to very early or in the second half of the first year, second year. I have people show up at those times too, but the ratio is 3-to-1. So I'm going to bring it up. What people say, they arrive thinking, I was doing so well. I was feeling a little better. I thought things were moving in the right direction. And wham, I feel like I'm doing so much worse. I feel like I'm going backwards. I don't understand what's happening. And help. Here's the key to this. Our brains do not take in the full reality of a death for months. It takes months for the brain to catch up. I used to say it was our psyches protecting us, that if we took in the full magnitude of a death immediately, we'd all go stark raving mad. That question about, am I going crazy, would have some legs, would have real legs, because we all would if we took it all in at once. As it turns out from research, it's the brain. The brain takes this long to take in the full reality of what's happened. And that full reality generally hits between 3 and 6 months. And it's a hard time. It doesn't last real long, but it's quite shocking when you've already been through this hard period of time, and all of a sudden you feel like you're starting to catch your breath just a little bit, and then wham, you're back in it, and it feels even worse. So that is a big reason, and a big reason people are showing up in that time frame, 3 to 6 months. because I think not everyone experiences it that way, but an awful lot do. Awful lot do. So those are my 5 top reasons. Let me review them again. They're afraid they're going crazy and questioning whether it's normal. 2, they're worried about, I don't feel like myself anymore. I don't know who I am. And the 3rd is just struggling and the resistance to going through the grief. 4 was desperately wanting to find some certainty amid this uncertain process. And then there are the folks 3 to 6 months who feel like all of a sudden they're doing worse, and it really scares them, brings them up short that something's really wrong because they're feeling worse. And they're not. It's normal. So there you have it. Those are the reasons people are showing up, and groups, coaching, my email list, all help. All right. You take care. Bye-bye.